so the senior executive service, and I think you and I would agree that we own that project, dating back to, 2006, when you told me that you had a sister who was a senior bureaucrat in Washington, and then we did a little work and we found out not only was she a senior bureaucrat in Washington, she was an incredibly dangerous and powerful bureaucrat in Washington, because over the months following yours and my first conversation, we established that she had created the Senior Executive Service in 1978/9, and in 1984 created the Department of Justice Asset Forfeiture Fund, which gave her the money needed to perpetrate attacks such as 9/11, and established the database for the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, which allowed her to track, unfortunate phrase, I suppose, the raw material needed to entrap and extort concessions from otherwise decent men and women. Fast forward to the 90s, where in 1994 she set up the United States National Visa Center and Con Air, which would allow her to transport some of the most dangerous killers, psychopaths in the world to crime scenes suitably scripted before the crime scene was activated. So fast forward to the present, I mean, we've been kicking jelly. That's a term I used when I...
Didn't you find that interesting, what was said there? We have the 1984 connection with the asset forfeiture and the missing exploited children timetable. We have Con Air apparently in 1994 in that interview, and this was 2013. You're going to see as I go through, I'm going to show you all dates and times changed with these guys. Because they lie too many times, they forget the lie they told before. That makes it more interesting, don't you think? And more easy to catch these fools at what they're doing. So, let's go to this article written on December the 27th, 2018. David Hawkins, Discovery CSI, Pig Farm, FDNY and Anthrax crime scenes. But what I particularly want to do is to take us down to number 3, and we can read this together. Christine Marcy founded Con Air in 1984. According to her brother Phil McConnell, she began modifying Boeing in 1988 with an intervention flight management system to prevent prisoner mutiny. Former Small Business Administration COO, she apparently set up dark pool finances for Serco's mentor protege company Base One Technologies prior to the 9/11 attacks. Isn't that interesting? In the last one you heard 1994, now we have 1984 and a phone call that McConnell remembers in 2007 from 1988. How many people can remember those kind of phone calls? Well, I digress. Let's go to the next one. Death Ray Wish. The evil women who behind Her Majesty's Most Crown Sisters. And as you can see, we have 1, Eliza Manning Buller, Jamie Gorelick, number 2, Samantha Cameron, number 3, Hillary Clinton, Sherry Blair, Michelle Obama, Miriam Clegg, Bernadine Dawn, Marion Harron, Charlotte Byron, Lucy Adams. Oh, number 12, Christine Marcy. Oh, Worshipful Company of Security Professionals, Serco, Extradition Rendition, RE Waterboarding, DOJ Pride. We will get into DOJ Pride because that's another belter. J.P.A.T.S, Con Air, SBA, FBI. So now we see she's in the FBI. Oh, didn't know that, did we? It's not on her CV at all anywhere. Well, let's go to the next one, shall we? This one is McConnell claims that Soames filmed McConnell's sister and SES Con Air J.P.A.T.S founder Christine Marcy in a Mendenhall's baby oath ritual in November 1978 when Jessica Marcy, McConnell's niece, was conceived. and that Soames subsequently forced Marcy's SES to transfer control of the Con Air SWAT teams and weapons from the Chicago toy shop. And of course, this one was written March the 29th, 2018. You starting to see a pattern here that goes all over the place. So, we have the Mendenhall's baby Richloaf. We've exposed that one. But here we have another one. In the IP lawyers Hillary Clinton and Michelle could intimidate witnesses, spin fake news, and organise spoliation of evidence on the ongoing criminalisation of the U.S. Marshals Prisoner Transportation Network, which Marcy launched in 1985 when she bought a Boeing 727 with her money confiscated through the DOJ Asset Forfeiture Fund. And when was this one written? Let's see, this one was written 2 years ago. Doesn't give a date, which is a shame. But it says 1985, not 84, not 94. Oh, we're getting some confusing times here, don't you think? And here we have Davis suspects Phil McConnell may be victim of man-in-the-middle attacks initiated by none other than Christine Marcy. So now with Phil McConnell is actually in prison, it's due to Christine Marcy. Interesting. That was dropped. And we have here, Phil had told me in early 2007 that in December 1988 he explained to his sister Christine Con Air Marcy, former senior counsel for the Federal Marshals Service, custodian of the DOJ Missing and Exploited Children Database and the CIO of Small Administrations, how to thwart an airborne prisoner mutiny by droning hijacking the Boeing 727 of the U.S. Marshals Service National Prisoner Transportation System. Again, names have changed. Also, the database is with the FBI, not with the DOJ. And when was this one written? Let's go to the top. October the 24th, 2019. Again, the information is completely all over the place. Next one. Hawkins believes that Marcy set up an AI pattern for renting murder for hire operations in 1994 with paedophile agents of DOJ Pride, Con Air SWAT teams and Serco Group shareholders, where prisoners and parolees were rewarded with patented AI algorithms. February the 4th, 2019, on David Hawkins' blog site, in which one he's attacking David Schweikhart's Federal Bridge. Next one, defeat the mainstream media. Now this is where it gets a little bit interesting. Abbotsford, British Columbia, location of embedded paedophile aliens, D2 banking onion router messages, Rebecca or Oddfellows, paedophile. Source, Hawks Cafe, Captain Sherlock, Abel Danger. Dear Nigel Farage and Lord Pearson, we believe that the Crown Sisters Christie... Oh, sorry, Nigel Farage. I'm sorry, that is funny. That is funny. We believe that the Crown Sisters Christine Marcy and John M. Cox, former Executive Air Safety Chairman of the Airline Pilots Association, ALPA, built a logistics and training base at Abbotsford, British Columbia, to embed paedophile aliens in the left-to-right crime scene crews for deployment in the Al-Qaeda attacks on the United States 911. This comes from the Matsqui prison stories. We'll come to them in future episodes where we're going to show you where all the SWAT team nonsense comes from. Here, I want you to look at this. This is on the Wayback Machine. And as you can see, it's Hawks Cafe, an archive for the works of David Hawkins, forensic economist. And when you look at the dates, countrywide section racket for WACA 9/11, 26 of the 10th, 2006. Now, when did they reach? Oh, that's right, 12/06/06. So all of this is prior to Hawkins meeting McConnell. Well, oil company bombs cutters used to pull World Trade Center 7. CIA and CAI digital ignition detonate clouds, destroy evidence. Boeing drone hit Pentagon. Decoys went to Canada. 060906. You are not going to believe all the nonsense I can prove that Hawkins is one of the worst lying SOBs on the internet. And it's all there in glorious Technicolor when you find it. It's hilarious. Iridium 6657, Bombardier. Boeing drone. We did that one. Oh no, we didn't do that one. Boeing drone hit Pentagon. Decoys went to Canada. So we did that. Do remote control flash bombs prove United 93 a fraud? So these were all prior to him meeting McConnell. It's beautiful, isn't it? You can see this rich tapestry of lies in front of you. But don't forget, he didn't lie. He was misinformed by himself. So he must be talking to himself. He must be schizophrenic. That's all I can say. All these will be linked below for you, so you can read them for yourself. Here we have Forensic Hawkins, a blog spot they used to have in 2003. This I will leave you to read. You can go through it all yourself. You can see all the nonsense here for yourself. You can read through for yourself. And you're going to find some interesting stuff in it. It will blow your mind. But what I want to do is I want to go now to this one, not that one yet. Let's look at this one, shall we? Let's go here. USS Prison Transportation, 1984. Let's go to there. Let's zoom in. Oops. The 1985 estimates include additional resources apart from the fifth operations, expenses related to prisoner transportation and US Marshal training. The was partly include the Threat Analysis Group, Witness Security Program, and a fugitive unit from Interpol US National Central Bureau. Reimbursable programs, federal funds in 1985 are derived primarily from the US Air Force, ICBM Missile Transportation Security Service, by the United States Marshal Service, the Bureau of Prisons for the Transportation of Prisoners, and the Department of State for Security Details. So it's the Bureau of Prisons for the Transportation. So we got that there. And there's lots of details there. Let's go to the next one. And then let's expand that out. It can only be possible by management efficiencies and by reducing non-essential work, as you pointed out in your opening statement, for example, through the improvement in the prisoner transportation system between 1981 and 1984. Even though our prisoner workload has increased dramatically, the number of work years devoted to prisoner movement has been reduced by over 40%. This has produced an annual salary savings of several $1 million. And when you understand what this is all about, this is about saving money. It's quite interesting. The more you go into this, and here we have another one. And let's expand this up. This talks about the asset of forfeiture funds in 94. In 94, how much assets have been seized? Can you give me in the dollar figure? The Assets Forfeiture Fund was created on October 12, 1984 and became operational after an enactment of the Supplemental Appropriations Act of 1985. On August 15, 1985, from the inception of the fund to January 1989, a period of just over 40 months, the estimated value of all assets seized is $1.3 billion. Get your head round that one. During the same period, $577 million in forfeited cash and forfeiture sales proceeds have been deposited to the fund. Get your head round that. That's huge. That's huge. This is a scandal in itself. It's let's explain this one out. This tells you the United States Marshal Service and who runs it. Now, I want to take us to this one. The Director's Report and the Review of the United States Marshal Service, 1988. I want to take particular attention to the names. Stanley E. Morris. This is the guy that was the head of the US Marshals that created the Prisoner Transportation System, or the Con Air, as Mr. Hawkins likes to call it, in 1984. And I'm going to prove that. I'm going to prove it because we're going to go down to page 30 together. We're going to scroll down. So if you've got two computers, you can listen to this and you can read at the same time with me. If not, you're just going to have to split the screen and put it up to one side so you can see for yourself. Now we want to go down to page 30. Oh God, I love Norton when it does make silly noises. Was it page 30 I want? Yeah, I'm sure it is. And you see, this is why I say about doing research, and you can find for yourself all this evidence, and I've been doing this for a while, which is quite an interesting thing. I've learned a lot actually from doing this, and from what I've learned is fascinating. The Civil Service Reform Act of 1978, how it came about, the original act that it took over from, and how many people have been trying to do it, which is quite interesting. This is all about costs and money. This is what this has always been about. It's been about saving money. 28. Prisoner production and so you want chapter 4. Page 30. Here are prisoner transportation in FY 1988. As seen in the following chart, the number of prisoners, transportation, and movements increased by 10%, while the total hours expended district support of prisoners. We go to the National Prisoner Transportation System, which is in Canada, and we go to here. Since F994, the Marshal Service has been acquiring a fleet of aircraft to transport federal prisoners to and from required court appearances. The service-owned aircraft programs, or otherwise known as SOAP, S-O-A-P, began with a single-engine Cessna 185 aircraft through federal seizures and the government surplus property program. The service acquired at no cost to the government 13 single and multi-engine small aircraft with a market value exceeding $750 million. $750,000, $750,000. Okay. In 1985, the US Marshal Service acquired a B-727-100 jet to replace a smaller Convair F-80 valued at over $4.5 million. The jet was obtained by the US Marshal Service at no cost through the government surplus property program. Retrofitting was required to bring the aircraft up to Federal Aviation Administration standards and to equip it for transporting prisoners. This was made possible by using funds which had been expended for commercially contracted aircraft to support prisoner transportation's requirements. And in 1986, the US Marshal Service aircraft fleet added a Cessna 310 aircraft through the National Asset Seizure and Forfeiture Program. So it was in 1986 that they got their first plane through asset seizure, through the Asset Forfeiture Fund. Isn't that interesting? And this is documented government property. Of course, let's explain this also because I have some people who are complaining, which I don't want to do that. Wrong way up. In 1988, a second Boeing 727-100 jet and 5 Subraliner Model 80 jet aircraft were added to the fleet, which will enable faster and more cost-effective service to local U.S. Marshal Service districts. When commercial air trips have to be used to transport prisoners, MPTS schedules the trips through a centralized ticketing program. This program gives MPTS National Prisoner Transportation System, because it wasn't Con Air then. It wasn't Con Air. Well, let's go to when it was. So let's put in J.P.A.T. Mr. S. USMS. US Marshals. Let's click on it together. You can see I'm doing this in real time for you. You can see, in 1995, the fleet of the Air Marshal Service and the Bureau of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, merged to create the Justice Prisoner Alien Transportation System. The merger created a more efficient and effective system to transport prisoners and criminal aliens. That's when it became J.P.A.T.S, the Joint Prisoner Alien Transportation System, because prior to that, it was the Prisoner Transportation System. I'll put all this up. You can read it for yourself. I'm not making any of this up. Documentation is all there for you to see. Isn't that wonderful? How we can share all this evidence to go through all the nonsense that Hawkins has been pushing out. And of course, now McConnell is sitting in a cell. And as I keep saying, the start of all this was December the 6th, 2006, when Hawkins got his claws into McConnell. McConnell was looking for a scam. And when we're talking about scams, before I sign off on this one, there's an interesting character that's turned up called Agent Margaret, or whatever his name is, Margaretville. And he's come up with this very strange thing about 3/4 of a... In fact, let's go there now. Let's pull that up. Let's pull up YouTube. We'll go there together, because I want you to read this, because I don't believe what he's saying is true. Agent M-A-R. There we are. And it's in this one. We're not going to listen to it. And we go to here. See that arsehole T.H.I.E. Timothy Holmes have tried to spin this as he has not yet surrendered the phone number for the Pentagon Paedophile Task Force that he used my children's army model for to raise over $750,000 to help a federal government agency combat child trafficking and paedophilia. What an amazing man to actually help the US federal government with $750,000 of money he raised selling hats and t-shirts and taking donations for the Children's Crusade, which was an idea taken from my model for the Children's Army. Now, I don't know if this guy is telling the truth, but there certainly needs to be an investigation into the 3 items here: the Zimbons, the Children's Crusade, and the Veterans Ranch. All these scams set up with McConnell. But I think McConnell was so gullible, he was being used by people and he was loving the attention. And he was thinking he was great, so that's why he's dancing around in his pink pants, because he's mentally ill. And these people took advantage of that and utilised that to scam other people who followed McConnell, because he's quite a character. But also McConnell had created something without realising, a cult, through symbology, which I'm going to talk about in the next episode. We're going to talk about how all this came about. But I want people to be very, very aware of this, so you can see for yourself. $750,000. Now that's a lot of money raised on a lie. Now, wouldn't that be interesting if that was true? I think it's time for these people to pay the piper.